I'm Vinny Politan. Great to have you with us here for Closing Arguments. And tonight, new information related to the murder of Gabby Petito. You recall, Gabby Petito went on the adventure, was supposed to be an adventure of a lifetime, living the van life. It was the first time I ever heard that expression. She headed out in a van, her van, with her boyfriend, who pretended to like her or love her. And they were driving around the country, taking pictures. She was posting stuff online, trying to become, I guess, an influencer and create something for herself and see this amazing country of ours. And here are some of those photos, some of those moments. But those moments did not end well. Gabby was murdered by Brian, her boyfriend. It happened. It's for real. So Brian Laundrie came back from this trip out west, back to Florida, to his parents, and that's when the heat was on his parents. Like, where's Brian? Where's Gabby? You know, why aren't you guys doing anything? Do you know something? And they wouldn't speak. They didn't speak to the media, and they didn't speak to Gabby's parents either. That all now has resulted in a civil lawsuit by Gabby Petito's parents against Brian Laundrie's parents for not revealing what they knew, not helping out the Petitos, and causing more emotional distress in their lives. Like, it's not bad enough your daughter's missing, but hey, you guys know something and you're saying nothing. Absolutely nothing. So it's a civil case, so there are depositions, which mean you sue somebody, you get to question them, they get to question you, etc. So now we've got the transcripts from a deposition of Brian Laundrie's father talking about a phone call that he got from Brian. This stuff is going to make steam come out of your ears. Take a look. So Brian is calling from Jackson, Wyoming. This is a phone call on August 29th, 2021. Laundrie says things hit the fan, the lawyer. How did things hit the fan that day? And Laundrie, well, what did you learn about Brian? I called Brian because, you know, I felt I should call him, so I called him, and that's what I did. And what did he say to you? I asked him, you know, how is he doing? And you know, he was not calm, and he was very excited, and he told things had, you know, Gabby's gone. And he got very frantic. Everything was frantic and quick, so, you know, Gabby's gone. Meaning what? Well, I have no idea what he meant. Well, what else did he say? Well, it was quick. He said, you know, and he was very panicked, and he said he didn't know what to do. He said, you know, can you help me, you know, and he might need a lawyer, you know, and I asked him why he wouldn't tell me. He was very frantic. Everything was frantic, and I started to not really comprehend. And then he said, just, you know, can you help me? And I said, okay, I'll help you. And I calmed him down, and I said, I don't know. It was all mumbled, and I still don't remember everything that happened. But, you know, he said he needed help and to get an attorney. And I told him, yeah, I'll help you. I'll call Stephen Bertolino and just stay put. And then I said, ask him again. And he said, just help me. And I said, yeah, I'm going to. So stay calm, stay put. And he hung up. Gabby's gone. I need a lawyer. Super clear from this. They weren't married. He didn't need a divorce attorney. Like, how obvious could it be? I didn't know what happened. What do you mean you didn't know what happened? Your son just told you that Gabby's gone, and he needs a lawyer. Well, what do you think happened here? And how about a little more follow-up question? Like, how about, before I send a lawyer, what kind of lawyer do you need? Why do you need a lawyer? More questioning. Question, at any time prior to that, Gabby's body was located, did you consider calling her parents to let them know what had happened? I was concerned for everybody, everything, you know, so, you know, it was very difficult to deal with. So I don't know what the heck to think. So, well, you're concerned for everybody. Did that include Joe Petito and Nicole Schmidt? These are Gabby's parents. Yeah, I was worried about everybody. I was worried about Gabby. I was worried about everybody. Okay, so what did you do with that concern about Joe Petito and Nicole Schmidt? I left it in my attorney's position there. Okay. I don't know what the right thing to do. I don't know how to respond to any of this, and I still to this day, so I don't know how anybody would handle it. so I relied on attorney Stephen. All I knew, and that was that. Okay. And then I couldn't have thought anything. I care about everybody, you know. I don't know what you're getting at here. Oh, you know what we're getting at. No. That's what this lawsuit's about. That I cared for anybody. I did care, and I didn't call him because it was, you know, it was the advice to not to. That was Attorney Bertolino's advice to you, is to keep quiet? Yeah. Did he specifically advise you not to call the Petitos? Yeah, I mean, not the Petitos, but don't speak to anybody about this. Well, that's what criminal lawyers always say. Don't speak to anybody about this. But let's look at the situation. Gabby's gone. Okay? Do you think that maybe the Petitos and the Schmidts have a right to know that Gabby's gone? Even if we should leave it at that. Gabby's gone. I don't know what happened, but she's gone. Remember, Gabby was living with them down in Florida before they left. So, I mean, these families, it's not like Gabby was just like some random person. This was a person who was living there, was part of their lives day in and day out. And you would think as an adult, you would, you know, okay, I spoke to my son, but he said Gabby's gone. Well, how about some concern for Gabby? Well, where is she, Brian? What happened? Is she safe? How about, do you want me to fly out there? No. Instead, he waited in Florida with his wife. Mom and Dad waited for the killer to drive back in Gabby's van. Not the Laundrie van, Gabby's van. They're getting sued. I don't know if they're going to win. This is a lawsuit unlike any we've seen before. But this is about decency, humanity, and some concern for people in your life. And if Brian did something, well, wait, you're going to help him get away with it? Is that part of it? Is that your ultimate goal? Let me see if I can help my son get away with murder. Nobody will look for Gabby. What? Let's bring the think tank. I don't know what they're thinking tonight. Joining us live in studio, criminal defense attorney, entertainment attorney, former assistant DA in Atlanta, Daryl Cohen. Also with us, criminal defense attorney Meg Strickler. And finally, criminal defense attorney, former prosecutor, Noah Pines.
Tell us what you really think.
You know what we're thinking, Vinny.
Yes.
What do you think? You're thinking, don't say anything. Don't say. Why do the parents have to not say anything?
Vinny,
the parents aren't getting charged with anything.
The question isn't decency. We're not in a court of decency. We're in a court of law. And the question is, were they legally required to provide this information?
Oh, you know what, Noah? It has nothing to do with legally. It has to do with morally. And they were morally and ethically bound to give some information about Gabby's gone.
How about this,
What
Noah?
law is that?
Wait.
The law of decency.
Okay.
But it goes further, Noah.
Sue them in the law of decency, not in a court
half the
of
story.
law.
That's half the story. Because not only did they not say anything, when they did say something, they seemed to indicate that Gabby was still alive. Like, we hope, you know, we pray for the family that they're reunited with Gabby. Like, they released a statement like that.
That was a bad call. I think staying...
It's beyond a bad call.
No, the lawyer
First of all, it's a lie.
Allegedly, the lawyer told them to do that. And that's the lawyer, the one that made that statement. So the lawyer's in some hot water as well. But I do agree with Noah. If the situation was such that he calls up the parents and says, I did something bad, Gabby's gone, because you know that conversation did not go as depicted in that deposition.
There's more to the conversation.
145 billion%. Has to be.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
No,
Probably.
As a parent, that conversation's going further.
Yes.
And even if it doesn't go further, the parent, even if they don't feel that they can roll on their son, there's a way of making a phone call to law enforcement without coming from them, from a burner phone, if you will, saying, look for Gabby. Look for Gabby.
So where's it end, Daryl? So one of your kids goes out, they're out enjoying Valentine's Day with their significant other. They've had, I don't know, 4 drinks. They drive home. You realize they drank too much and they shouldn't have driven home. Are you calling the cops on your kid?
No,
That's completely
This is a
different.
missing person.
That's
It
not,
doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
This is
It
a missing
absolutely
We're talking about
doesn't
an
matter.
obligation under the law to report a crime.
Did they cause emotional distress?
No.
Were they causing emotional distress? We're not locking up the Laundries. They didn't commit any crime here. We're suing them.
But did they, I hear your question, with this respect to this lawsuit, could they succeed? Yes.
Well, but did they cause, do you think they caused more emotional distress?
Of course they did.
100% do.
Of course they did.
I think the lawsuit will succeed.
But whether or not
Noah doesn't agree with that even.
Whether they win the lawsuit or not, is there any money? They're going to win in the court of public opinion. And maybe, just maybe, if this ever happens again, somewhere, somehow, it won't happen.
How about to this day? How about the fact to this day, they still, the Laundries, have not come clean?
Well, they can't because they're being sued right now.
But they didn't before they got sued either. This thing was all wrapped up. Brian Laundrie blew his brains out, was dead, and still they did nothing. Nothing. They didn't pick up the phone. No apology. No, let me tell you what happened. Let me give you all the information. I mean, the Petitos lost their daughter, was murdered by this guy over here, right? So, and what does a parent want? Well, they're not going to get a sense of justice. There's not going to be any trial. They're not going to learn anything in a courtroom at Brian Laundrie's murder trial because he was a coward and he took his own life. So how are they going to get the information? Now the Laundries very quickly could have just given them, told them everything they knew and been honest. But they didn't.
Did they want to talk to them?
But they didn't.
Did they want to talk to them?
They could give. Could have been an email.
To talk to them?
Could have
I've
been
had
from the beginning.
I've had tons of clients
from the beginning. The Petitos wanted to hear
to a victim's family, and the victim's family do not want to hear it.
From the beginning. That's all they were asking for publicly. On the news, night after night after night. This was not a secret. This was the biggest story in the country. And these people said nothing. And to this day, still have said nothing until they're subpoenaed and have to be deposed and then come up with half a story.
It is a half story. That which I will agree.
Yeah. So what are your thoughts about this lawsuit? The trial's going to happen, right? There's no settling here. Why would the Petitos settle? They don't want money. They want answers. They want the truth.
They want publicity now. They need the
They want the
publicity,
truth.
which is the truth, but the publicity has to be there.
Sit down and talk with everybody.
I agree with that.
Mediate it.
Yeah, mediate.
No.
And sit down and be like, just tell us everything. Tell us all the details.
I
You
see
mediate
no
it.
mediation.
You should
I'll
be the mediator.
All right. By the way.
You're going to have to step it back a little bit when you're mediating.
No, that's the way you mediate.
No.
I learned from my father. He was the best. All right. They're with us the whole hour.